on Monday, March 6, 2023. Call the meeting to order. On the regular agenda, we are to deliberate and act on the regular meeting minutes of February 20th, 2023. Anybody see any problems, questions?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? So moved. Item number 3, deliberate and act on a final plat submitted by property owner Sam and Javonda Bernal, located at 1605 and 1607 Jenkins Street, also known as Denver Heights, Block 28, part of lots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and all of lots 9 and 10, City of Rockport, Aransas County, Texas. And we note that this is replat involves more than 4 lots.
53 North Allen, and this is, you guys may recognize this property. It's where Elegancia Spa is, and the reason it's, they're expanding, and so they bought the neighboring lots that were abandoned next to them, and so that's why they're replatting it all into one, and the reason why it's coming before you is because it's more than 4 lots that they're combining into one. So if you have any questions, I'm here.
I don't. I mean, they've done a nice job when they built the salon.
Beautiful.
Considering what was there before. So, any comment from staff? No.
I think it'll be a great improvement for that.
Yeah.
Property, they'll clean it up.
Yeah, they'll clean it up and keep it clean, and it's right there by the school. So, yeah, it's all good.
Okay.
We have any discussion? If not, I'll take a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
We got a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have Rick has a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? So moved. Agenda item number 4, deliberate and act on a final plat submitted by property owner Kyle Alston, located at 500 and 522 East King Street, also known as lots 4R and 5, Block 1, Simon Oaks, City of Rockport, Aransas County, Texas. And this was done before, and we're here again.
Well, there was a replat approved, I want to say in November, maybe. That was never filed, and the owner that replat that sold it. And the new owners want to replat it differently, but because it was never filed, they don't have to file something to rescind that plan. Because it was never filed and became legal document. So this is a different arrangement of the lots that the new owner wants to do.
It's a replat original 1.
Yeah.
The first replat was never filed, so it did not happen.
I see. It's not a do-over, but it's a...
Right. It's just to do different.
Do
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Do you need to...
No, I think it's just coming before you guys because we've replatted this property before, and so I'm here if you have any questions. He intends to. I think this is zoned R2, so it only needs 5,000 square feet, and he intends to continue those lots around, but the new owner, but he's going to build on them, I think, because he's a builder, so. That's his intention, and he only wanted to do a few at a time just to go ahead and get those sold before he moves on to the next. So that was kind of...
So he's just building single family home?
Yes, yeah. I think he has one track home that he's going to build on all of the lots, so.
Questions, comments, motions?
I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Rick's in line with the second again. Thank you, Rick. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, nay? So moved. Thank you. Discussion, consideration, and action regarding the process for conducting public meetings as per section 118-26 of the Rockport Code of Ordinances. Sounds like an administrative situation.
Yes, well, as you know, we changed the way we were doing things because we were having joint public hearings. And then P and Z had to come to a council meeting for that. And then we had a P and Z meeting the week after that, and then 2 council meetings after that. And it was taking longer for people to get their things through. So the ordinance doesn't say they have to be joint, it just says each has to hold a public hearing. So we changed it to P and Z holds their public hearing and agenda item at the same meeting, and then council does the same thing, a public hearing and an agenda item, and that's the first reading, and then the second council meeting is the second reading. So it knocks out about 2 weeks, give or take, a few days.
Yeah, 4 meetings, there's 3 meetings.
Yes, but a P and Z member asked that this be put on the agenda because they don't like it.
You want me to address since
Yes,
that's me?
please.
Okay, I have all my notes. So the reason I asked, well, I'll just go through my notes. What I did was I separated out what I think are the pros and cons of doing it this way, because I was all in favor. When it was first suggested, it sounded a great idea. Yeah, if we can shorten the process for the public, this is great for property owners and less meetings that we have to attend. But in reality, in doing this, there's some things that I'm not comfortable with, and so I kind of wanted to go through those. One of the things that I have been noticing is because we have 2 separate public hearings, us and council are not hearing the same comments. We might be, but we might not be. Even if the same people come to both public hearings and make the same similar comments, it's not the exact same thing. So we're not having the benefit of hearing the exact same thing to make our decisions. The second thing that I think is a downside is we're having our hearing and we're taking our vote, and then council a week later is having their hearing. So we're actually taking a vote before all the public comments have been heard. And so that, there could be a comment that comes up at the council's public hearing that could possibly have made a difference in how we vote on something. So we're both bodies are having to make decisions without the benefit, I think, of hearing all the comments. As far as, I'm also not real comfortable with the public hearing, stopping the public hearing, and 5 minutes later, we're taking a vote. Because my personal process, when I get a packet, I get a notice that we're gonna rezone, I look at the appraisal district, I look at the Google Maps, I get in my car and I go drive, and I look at the property, and I drive by it. And a lot of times, comments, when we were having the joint public hearings, I'd get the notice, I'd do my research, preliminary research, and then comments that are made during that joint public hearing, I've got a week before we're meeting, and a lot of times those comments actually necessitate another drive-by or a little more research to see if those comments are valid, are they not, that affects my decision. I just feel like I'm being rushed to make a decision without the benefit of being able to have that time to think about those comments and do a little more research if necessary. And I know that obviously we wanted to shorten the bureaucratic process for the public, and I think that's great. But I think, for me personally, I think I would much rather go back to the other way of having the joint public hearing and then having that week before we have our hearing and our vote, so that us and council have the benefit of hearing potentially the same comments. And I know still people can come to ours that don't come to council and vice versa, so I know we do still have that, but I just feel like the joint public hearing gives us a better chance of everybody that's voting and making a decision hearing the same thing, and having a little more time and not being rushed into making our votes. So that's why I asked to bring this up and put all those pros and cons before you guys and see what you guys think.
I actually do have a quick comment, just to really, I think a lot of that's gonna be based on what, the new charter rules come out, if that passes or not, we do have that in there as
Right.
well. So with you guys making that kind of decision right now, things could change dramatically after that May election. For
Good
two
point.
reasons, because you might become on actual ordinance and not be in the actual charter, and then number two, we have that written in there with having a faster process, that might pass or not. So and that gives decisions to you guys.
You're talking about the option to not have a second reading on.
I think that's, I don't have in front of you, but there's two different parts in there that could change for you guys, that would change how you guys do your procedures and how you guys work.
Okay.
Which could change it all. Say that, number one, the most part, if you guys are taking out the charter and we have to rework a whole new ordinance, because that's what you guys will become as a
Ordinance,
P&Z
right.
ordinance, then we have to do all those new procedures and rules and all that on there.
Okay,
So that will be a change if it passes. If it doesn't, then that obviously
yeah,
goes back to what it is.
Okay.
And we have the second part, I can't remember the exact wording, but I know that one of the council members did ask to change that wording to make it quicker for us to get meetings out of there for the zoning change.
okay.
And that would be in the charter as well.
I think they wanted to take away the second reading.
I think
And
it's the
that's
second
what it was.
reading one, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't wanna say on record
Yeah,
that, but it was.
trying to
but
remember,
they're
yeah.
changing it. So I'm just putting that out there, that is gonna be something that you'll have to think of for now. But you will have very valid points, but those are things you want to go out and tell
Yeah.
people that's how you feel too, because that's kind of
Yes.
how it changes.
Well, I think the bottom line for me, the biggest objection I have is the rushed decision, in hearing comments and not having time to absorb those comments and think through them, and having to take a vote immediately. So,
We're here to listen to you, and, you know, if others feel strongly about that, I really would like for you to speak up and let us know that. I think part of the charter review process, and I did not attend the meetings, I did read the minutes, and that we discussed it at the staff level. It appears to me that they're trying to streamline the process, to shorten the number of meetings, and even sometimes, and again, if it passes the number of readings, to get some of these things done. But I understand what you're saying from a standpoint, you want to make sure that you're basing your decision and you have enough time to do the research to ensure that you're making an informed decision instead of rushed decision.
right.
So we
Yeah,
need to
I don't
hear
want to see
from
us
y'all.
make quick decisions that long-term could negatively impact the community as a whole. And that's a big concern for me.
And I don't want to make light of the fact that it appears that we're trying to streamline our processes and make things go quicker, you know, but
Right.
that doesn't mean that we don't do our due diligence to do the research to make informed decisions and everything. You know, so what you're asking us to do is not take away your time to do your research to make what you think is an informed decision. And, you know, I'd like to know if more of you feel the same way, or if you feel like you have the correct pertinent information in front of you, you can review it and have enough time to make an informed decision. So, is anybody else?
It seems to me that if you have something, Kim, that's really long-term important, that we ought to be able to have one step in there that we can do that. I'm all for streamlining and getting things done. We got way too many important issues to bog this thing down. But if there is one situation that somebody's not comfortable with, we ought to be able to interject a step there. Does that make sense? Rather than do one all or the other.
Yeah. I think we have that option. I mean, I know we have that option now. The issue is, I don't always know. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that feels this way, but I don't always know when people are sitting here in front of me and they're making comments, is this something that I need to, I mean, I may end up, making a motion in every hearing going, we need to postpone this a week, and I don't wanna get where we're going down that road. I think we need to have a process that ensures that we're making the best decisions for the community, for the property owners.
Go ahead.
I agree with Kim 100%. Not all of the recommendations that we make are as insightful as others, but some of them are, and oftentimes you don't know about it. You don't realize that until you do the drive-by. I understand about refining the process, but these aren't decisions. They're not our decisions, but they are recommendations, and I'm sure that mayor and council rely on us to make.
This is an important process.
It is. It is.
Step in the process.
I think this is one area where maybe we should consider leaving it as is and shortening the process is maybe not in the best interest of the city.
I would like to make sure everyone understands, at any time that you're sitting at the dais and somebody brings something to you, if you don't fully understand it, or if you have multiple questions and everything, you always have the option to ask for a delay or postponement of that particular agenda item. If you feel like you don't have enough information, or you haven't had enough time to review, or whatever it is, you can always make a motion that we do not consider this item until members of the P&Z have had a chance to do further research. I mean, that is an option.
Yeah.
But
And I've always known that was an option,
both sides.
but
And,
I
really would
think
like
that
for
would end up
y'all
happening
to
a lot.
give us direction so we can take it up. Because we're gonna take it, of course, to the city manager and probably ultimately to the council
Right.
for them to decide the process that they want for things to come before them to make a final decision. But I appreciate, the two of you speaking up, and if anybody else feels that way or different, please let us know so we can give them, that we had a good discussion with lots of input. Andrea, I appreciate your input.
Do we need a motion to move
the
this
public
forward for
hearings are
discussion?
posted in the same posting. So say we had a public hearing tonight, then in the posting, it would say P&Z's public hearing on the 6th, and then council's
Yes,
public hearing
right.
the following week. It's all posted. So when you table something that's a public hearing, then that affects down the line. It all has to be reposted.
Right.
And maybe there's more information we can give you in the packet that would help.
Not really. I mean, I'm not seeing anything in the packet. It's
Okay.
more the public comments. It's what we're hearing from the neighbors that come that are maybe opposed, that have objections to this, things that we can't possibly know because we don't live there. But
And
they
the
live there.
follow-up drive-by.
Yeah,
The
a follow-up
drive-by
drive-by.
based on comments.
Yes, exactly. That has happened many times.
Okay.
So,
Does anybody feel strongly the other direction, where you feel like, no matter what you get, you're gonna have enough time to make an informed decision? Or
My feeling is that apply the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, you need to be efficient and let it go and get it done. If there's important long-term impacts, then we need to have some kind of a step in there to make sure all the details are addressed.
But how do you decide the criteria for that?
That I don't know.
That's the problem. I mean, you can't just say, well, we're good with what you had to say. There was no public input. We're gonna vote, and the vote says, motion to approve or whatever. But we don't know as much about you, so we're gonna make you wait and hold. I mean, you to me, maybe I'm wrong, but there would have to be specific criteria to kick in the delay.
Right.
Because you can't just wing it. that's not fair. Because you gotta have two
80%
people.
of the time, we can't.
Well, but,
Comment is,
Yeah.
a lot of times, public comment is based on, they don't want it there because they don't want it in their neighborhood,
yeah,
Yes,
which cannot be a bearing on your decision.
no,
right,
Think back to some of the recent decisions that have been made, you know, I'll use the mechanic shop on Market Street.
right,
You know, there was
Yeah.
a lot of emotion in the room from the neighbors and everything.
Yeah.
right.
But in the end, the neighbors all agreed to work better together and to communicate and things like that. And that's what we want and what we need in our community. The property owner had every legal right to come in and ask for, you know, for permission to do what he was doing. But he also understood from the public hearing that he's a nuisance to his neighbor and he can do better.
So on that, okay, so we didn't have the benefit of an additional drive-by. We had to make the decision that night. And I agree with you that that is the case a lot of times on those objections. But driving through that neighborhood after we had that hearing, I happened to drive through there and I thought, I'm just gonna take a look. We've already made the decision, we've already had the hearing. And I would not have changed my vote, but it helped me to see what the neighbors were objecting to, whether that was really a legitimate, it just helped solidify my decision that, okay, I did make the right decision, are they just, I don't want this in my backyard, or is there a legitimate complaint? Is there a legitimate reason for what they're saying, what they're objecting to? So having the benefit of that time to confirm that, and you're right, a lot of times it is just that, I don't want it in my backyard. But if there is something that, we've missed, I want to make the right decision. I don't want to zone.
I appreciate that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's exactly what we want from y'all, and those are the things that we charge y'all with, is to make those decisions. And I completely support what you're saying and understand, from what I'm hearing, I don't have any problem whatsoever going back and informing the staff and the council potentially that we've had this discussion, and that, the majority of y'all have indicated that you would like that extra step in there to give adequate time for all the commissioners to make an informed decision before they make a recommendation to the council. And, a joint public hearing does have its benefits, like you said. You have both bodies in the room. You hear the same thing on that first Tuesday night, and then the following Monday, they bring it to you, and then the following Tuesday, that's right, yeah, they bring it to the council once again.
Yeah. And most people, the general public, they don't know about these meetings.
Right.
They don't pay attention to them, they don't know about them. They're focused on council. We have to go to council, we have to make our comments at council. And so I think that's where we hear most of those comments anyway.
Right.
So, and having been on this commission, doing it both ways, that's why I wanted to bring this up, because now I've had the benefit of doing it both ways, and I like the other way better.
Well, and that's why we wanted to try this, to see
Yeah.
how you felt and how it worked, and if the flow was good. And but if the charter review is passed and they do away with a second reading, then you'll still just have 3 meetings.
That's why I think that needs to be brought up in front of council.
Yeah.
How you guys are feeling, I think that needs to be brought up in front of your public, because again, there's, like you said, there's benefits of both sides.
Yeah.
Either or, whatever
Right.
works.
And I'll gladly,
People need to know
Yeah.
what you guys are feeling.
I'll gladly come and address council on, my position on this, so.
I just think that if the board staff, this goes out to what is going on to vote.
Yeah.
People are gonna have that information in their heads. when they're
Right.
voting, so.
Again, I would ask anybody that feels strongly the opposite way of, leaving it at one joint public hearing. So I don't hear anybody saying that, so.
I mean, the thing about streamlining it is that it does save our time, but it also saves property owner or contractor or developer some time. But, I can see both sides of this, really. I know what you're saying, and and all that, and I know what Rick is saying, which is the 80-20, but the problem is you gotta, to me, there would have to be a specific criteria that, okay, this one we can streamline, but this one is more complicated and more people are upset about it, so we can't streamline. We need to, you know.
Yeah. And we don't know a lot of times either. I mean, we've
no.
had some where I've thought they would just sail through without any opposition, and we walk
yeah.
in here and there's a room full of people.
Yeah, and they're mad.
So,
Yeah. And when is the council's decision on the?
It's no longer, we already approved it to go on the ballot, so now it's on the ballot in May.
In May.
That's up to the citizens to make their decision.
Okay.
The only criteria that I could possibly think of for trying to set up would be, number of responses either for or against when we publish in
That's a
public
good,
hearing and do the notification within the radius. We send it out, and there are some where immediately we get everyone within the radius that has an opinion one way or another, or they are all leaning one way. They're all against it or they're all for it, and they get the neighbors to come out. If we use some criteria like that, but then again, there's gonna be those ones that slip through the cracks, and it becomes emotional when they get in here.
Well, and what they've sent is the public hearing notice, which has already been published.
Yeah.
For 2 separate public hearings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how we would do it.
Yeah, it would be difficult. It's difficult to figure out that 80-20.
So
Yeah.
since our agenda item says, discussion, consideration, and action, do we need an official
Well, that's if you wanted
motion to forward this to council to consider?
We'll take the information you provided to us and we'll take it up the food chain, so to speak, and let everyone know that we've had this discussion. And then the majority of the members of the commission have indicated that they feel like they have a better opportunity to make a more informed decision using the old process.
Well, and maybe you could take a vote on that, whether to send that
I'll give you a
up. That
copy
way
of
we
my
have a
notes,
count.
so you,
That would be good.
That would take action
Right.
to bring it.
Yes.
okay.
So make a motion, somebody
Okay,
make a
I'll
motion. and-
make a motion that we, return to joint public hearings for zoning requests, and then the
Can
P
we
and Z
repeat it,
Commission,
So
that
to
that we
recommend to
return to
council-
joint public hearings for zoning requests, and then the P and Z meeting the following Monday
And then on rezones,
on rezones, yeah.
so, yeah, that'd be a cup too. I'm trying to think if there's
Yeah.
anything else.
I mean, that's the only other thing we really, well, anything that requires a public hearing. So we return to the process of a joint public hearing for
hearings,
anything that
period.
requires a public hearing.
So your motion is to recommend to council that we return to joint public hearings.
For anything that requires a public hearing. For planning and zoning.
For any item. Yes.
Obviously not the plats that we heard tonight or anything like that, don't require, hearings, but.
Okay.
I'd second that.
okay. Any other discussion? You wanna take
Let's take a roll call.
yes, please.
Okay. We'll start with you, Mr. Rick.
Aye. Yes.
Ms. Pam, yes.
Yes. Aye.
I knew yours. I was gonna go ahead and write it down.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Aye. So it's unanimous.
Thank you for the discussion.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And
Yeah,
that's
no,
what
it's-
you're here for, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
You give us guidance.
You tell us what you want, yeah. See if we
We
can
really
fix it.
appreciate it.
No harm, no
Here,
foul.
I'll give you, I thought about emailing you this, but I'll just, I have it saved in my computer at home, so I'll just give you my written copy.
Oh, okay,
These are my notes.
okay. Is it something you can email me then? I could scan it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Time is 5:59.